Welcome to the AI Applied podcast today. Today, Connor and I are talking about an absolutely incredible breakthrough, which is coming out of Perplexity, one of our favorite companies we talk about a lot on the show. And they have released something called Perplexity Assistant. Now, this is essentially a new mobile assistant. It's only on Android, so I'll put that caveat out there. And this is essentially because Android is a lot more forgiving on what it will allow you to access and to do. And that's kind of how their platform was built. Something like Apple, I don't know if they're going to be able to make it onto that because of Apple's stringent security kind of regulations and everything going on there. So people just have to keep waiting for Apple intelligence to be good. But Connor, what are you seeing with this? Because I think this is something really big you've been talking about on LinkedIn a lot.
Yeah, I have. We're obsessed with Perplexity a little bit. And Jaeden, I know you share your screen. So if you guys follow us on YouTube, you'll see all that. And also, Jaeden, over on X, I think Perplexity has that little video, which is actually pretty compelling as well. So Perplexity is a really interesting company, right? So it sort of started off as, oh, this is your alternative to Google search. And it just keeps branching out and branching out. And every time the other big companies like the OpenAIs, the Googles, everybody else does something new, I'm like, okay, well, this is the moment that Perplexity finally falls behind. They can't accomplish this obstacle. They do. But what this is, so first of all, let's distinguish. This is not an AI agent. This is like an AI task manager, essentially. It sort of acts a tiny bit like an agent without really doing the final actions. So the difference is that an AI agent, like we've seen with OpenAI's operator, or like what we've seen with Anthropic's computer use, things like that, those are things that literally take over your computer, and then you say, hey, book me a table at this, at some restaurant in San Francisco at 7:30, and it will go and it'll start searching open table, and it'll do as if it was a human. What this is much more similar to what OpenAI just dropped with tasks. I think, Jaeden, as you're talking about, it's sort of like a little bit what Apple Intelligence does. But essentially, if you say something like, I'm reading it off right now, like, hell, help me book the best Japanese restaurant in town. What it will do is it will bring you over to Open Table, but then you have to obviously click on that. But that's actually pretty awesome. But it's also, hey, remind me at 8 a.m. every morning to do this. Again, OpenAI just came out with this as well with tasks. Now, what's the point here? The point is that these are platforms that don't want you to have to leave their platform. They want to integrate with this, like with Perplexity. Hey, send Jaeden an email about the latest thing that I was just reading, and it will open up your email if it's all interconnected. Right now, it's kind of the kind of thing that Zapier or something like that does. Essentially, again, these platforms want you to come onto their platform, and they want you to live on their platform. Now, the really cool thing about Perplexity that I liked was it just looked like a pretty awesome interface using this. So if you sort of, again, if you're following along on Jaeden, I have a LinkedIn post about it as well, but you'll see that the interface is just kind of nice. It's multimodal, but importantly, also if you're reading a book or something like that, you just take a picture of it, or you video something or something like that. This is the huge trend with all these things right now. They're multimodal, so it works across apps, it works across contexts, it has all these different languages, all that kind of stuff. But the most amazing thing to me, Jaeden, is, first of all, this is just kind of cool. But second of all, it just feels like we're watching a race, and we're like, there's kind of the little engine that could back then. We're like, well, at some point now that engine's going to drop out. Now they're going to drop out. Perplexity just keeps on coming. So have you had a chance to look at any of this stuff yet?
Yeah, I'm super impressed with what they're doing. The thing that I did want to call out, though, just before I give a take on it, is I was reading, The Verge talking about this, and there was something interesting they said. They said Perplexity's Assistant doesn't work across every app, and with every feature, it's not able to access Slack or Reddit. They couldn't get it to leave a comment on a YouTube video. It supports Spotify, YouTube, and Uber, along with your email messaging, your clock app. And according to a spokesperson over at Perplexity, I believe Sarah Platic said, quote, "We're continuing to add support for more apps and more functionality, though, so this is just the starting point." Okay, the thing I wanted to bring up with all of this is very similar to what's going on at OpenAI with their new kind of assistant product that they've launched as well, their operator project. The thing that I think a lot of people are going to get stuck on is, a lot of people probably try this out once and be like, oh, it can't do everything I want because it doesn't have all this integration. The integrations are coming, but I think that those are a really key part of it, because if you can't go and access Slack or Reddit or these other sites, people are going to get kind of annoyed of these tools. And the number one thing I was seeing with OpenAI's operator that people were kind of screen sharing as they were testing it out was the fact that every time you go to a website, the website would detect you as a bot and kind of stop. So unless there's an actual integration built in with an API to the service, these services can cut you off. Reddit famously is making millions and millions of dollars selling access to their API to Google, to OpenAI, to some others. And so it seems like they might be able, people might be able to get around it if you get the API access. But if you don't have it, which they're going to charge millions of dollars for, this definitely isn't something that every AI company is going to struggle to
Right.
some degree with this. Now, the last caveat I'm going to say is, I say all of that, and there definitely will be some cracked developers that go and figure out a way to make it look like you are not a bot. It's coming straight from your device. They try to, like, essentially, okay, so here's a crazy thing. And it's like AI versus AI on this. Reddit
Right.
is detecting who's on their site as a bot because they're doing repetitive, like, sort of bot-like motions and movements. And even though a human is looking at this, watching it and being like, give me this information, and like wants it, Reddit's going to flag it. Now, what's the solution? The solution is essentially to use AI to dictate how the mouse moves, how the app integrates. Like, it's
Right.
using AI to randomize the actions. So you could do that to seem more human-like. Then Reddit's going to have to write an AI algorithm that can detect even that. And this kind of, it brings me back to when OpenAI first launched ChatGPT, the big trend was like AI text detectors. And OpenAI even launched one that could like detect if something was AI generated in text. And eventually OpenAI shut the project down because they're like,
Total
it's too
failure.
hard to
Total
actually
failure.
detect. This is going to happen. We're going to see this with the agents and with these like assistants. It's going to play out the exact same way, in my opinion, where it's going to be this battle, and eventually everyone's going to give up because it's just not worth it. But right now, it is definitely a problem on some of these platforms.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, and it's again, just like with agents and everything else, this is all directional stuff, tasks, agents, everything else. It's not going to work perfectly. It's putting out now. Look, to their credit, they're putting out a product that works, which is awesome. It just doesn't work that well. And when I say that well, it works. It's just not overly useful to humans right now, in my opinion. For little things, it is, and tasks is certainly easier than agents. Jaeden, my question to you: what is Perplexity doing? I can't figure them out. Like, it's what they do in terms of, I thought they were just going to be an alternative to Google. They've gotten a crazy amount of not market share like by percentage, but just 15 million users or something like that. People know Perplexity a lot, especially if you're in this world. I think Perplexity is fantastic. One of the things that Perplexity does really well, which is a little bit what you're doing with AI Box, is that you can choose which model to use. So on Perplexity, I put the sort of the engine underneath is I have Claude because it draws me out the best output. So I don't need it to search better than anything else. I just need the output to be better than anything else. And I absolutely love Perplexity for that reason. I've been a user from the very, very early days, and I pay $20 a month for it and always have. But it just feels like it's one of these things where it's like, as if like Walmart was getting into like fine dining or something like that. I just can't. Is anybody kind of thinking about Perplexity as their main platform that they're not going to leave? Or is this a play to build up enough stuff where they show what they are capable of doing? There was the rumors where they were like, we'll merge with TikTok. And we're like, what? Or is it sort of like a positioning thing for probably not an IPO, or maybe, or to get bought or something? Your take on this? What is Perplexity's game plan here?
I think Perplexity has played a phenomenal game, and that is that they launched early with a decent product, got a lot of investment dollars, which helped fuel them. And now, because they were able to raise so much, they're able to do a lot of really interesting things, which is growing their user base. They're able to raise more money. They keep just doing more and more rounds of funding. But I think in order to do a round of funding, you have to sell the investors on a bright, exciting future and projects. And so, evidently, when it seems like, oh my gosh, they're creating an assistance app for Android, like, where did that come from? Like, I thought this was a Google competitor. Like, this is how they're able to continue to raise more and more money, essentially. And I don't even think that's a bad thing, because I mean, kudos to them. They're building really cool products. People are loving them. And I think at the end of the day, the thing that they talk about a lot and really want to push, but I don't think it's got the mass adoption, but I think it helped them raise a lot of money, is that they do have their own versions of AI models. Like, they're not just exclusively reliant on OpenAI or Claude. Like, they have AIs that they've created. Now, I would say that these aren't things that people are going out of their way to use. I don't know if they're best in class necessarily. And so that's fine. You don't need them. You can go use something from OpenAI or Claude when you're searching on Perplexity. But the fact that they're building that, they're focusing on that, they're looking at that, helps them get money. And I think inevitably, when things get cheaper or easier, they will be able to excel in that department as well. So I don't know. I think Perplexity's played a masterful game of new product, new investors, and just continuing to kind of snowball the company because they were able to start early with a decent product and get a good user base, even though they're not like, tier one chat GPT. They're
Right.
still a really impressive company that I think is very useful and crushing it in the space and launching
No,
actual
yeah,
products that work, not just
right,
hype
right.
or demos.
I think that's fair, and I think the growth has been astronomical, and I think for good reason. The CEO is a little bit. It's he's just unpredictable, I would say, maybe.
Totally.
But love Perplexity. The other thing, Jaeden, I just want to kind of call out is that I love that they're launching products because I think it's really bold. And all you entrepreneurs out there, launch stuff and see if it works. Jaeden is one of the finest entrepreneurs I know. I know he's just the smooth sounding, cool guy on your podcast, but behind the scenes, Jaeden like launches product after product and he builds companies. It's super, super impressive. But Jaeden has that mindset that I think we should all have. But if you're an entrepreneur, you have to be like, I'm going to throw something out there. It might do great. It might not, but boy, oh boy, if it does great. And one of the things that Perplexity did, remember Perplexity pages from, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago or something like that, where like you could create almost like you're on like Wikipedia page. That's the kind of thing that could have taken off like Google, Notebook LM or something like that. Cause it was just a really cool little thing. Now it didn't really, it sort of kind of went by the wayside, but I love that these companies are putting things out like that because you don't know which one of these things like LM will just absolutely catch fire, right? So I
Yeah.
love how Perplexity is continuously innovating. I think they've done a great job. I'm with you. They've done great stuff out there.
Yeah, this is awesome. Now, not to toot my own horn or anything, but if you are interested in starting your own online side hustle or business, I've created a school community called AI Hustle. I would love for you to be a member and join. Every single week, I record videos that break down the AI tools I'm using to grow and scale my businesses, as well as everything I recommend you use to grow and scale your businesses and to make money online. So if you're interested, I'll leave a link in the description for that as well. Overall, I have been blown away by everything happening in the AI space right now with Perplexity. Thanks so much for tuning into the podcast today. If you enjoyed the episode, the number one thing you could do to say thank you would be to leave us a review. We've passed 100 reviews. We're so happy. We're shooting for 200 reviews right now. So if you could do us a huge favor and help us get there, we'd really appreciate it. But hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day.